Welcome to Imaginary Wednesdays with Thesis, Sahib and Jesse Dane J. Arusali. Two middle-aged indie rap archivists with far-ranging enthusiasms and inscrutable hairstyles, digging deep into the hard science of probability and what their friends are up to lately.
That's right, we're here live, blam, with you, pow! Tonight, we're gonna talk about the hard-hitting issues. We're gonna be talking about beef. We're gonna be watching a little thing about beef along with you. And first, we gotta talk about the economy and how it's changing and how it's different and how it's special. Imaginary Wednesdays. There we are. Good evening. You all
Hi,
right?
everybody.
Okay.
I'm okay. This just in. I need some water.
Oh, well, maybe you should have thought of that before.
I know. I got some stuff. I gotta have a little sippy sip, 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 sip. Hey everybody, Imaginary Wednesdays.
Good evening to you, friends. So we have questions. I got questions.
We're just getting right into this. This one's a hard-hitting episode.
Yeah, because
yeah.
there's things going on in the world of art, in the world of commerce, world of business that, frankly, as far as I know, nobody understands.
Nobody knows.
Except one man. So we have we scraped all of our Bitcoins together, all of our Doge coins, and some actual loonies and quarters, and we paid the exorbitant speaking fee for podcast celebrity Little Joe Barry of Business Baby. And without further ado, I'm just gonna wheel. Joel, would you bring
Joel,
Josephine into the interview chamber?
bring in Josephine. Joel.
And okay, thank you.
I think he's out. Okay, here. Yeah. Hey.
Well. Welcome to Imaginary Wednesdays, Little Joe Barry. And
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's absolutely our pleasure. And we need your help. Like,
Yes.
we got to figure out, as artists in this new economy, we've got to figure out what's the deal with non fungible tokens. And I guess maybe the first thing I was hoping you could help us with is like, what's crypto?
Yeah. What's crypto? Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about it. This morning I found out about crypto. I think it's like illegal money that computers get dressed up and they go to work to find, and then you can pretty much just buy stuff off the black market.
Like what sort of thing on the black market can you?
Well, I found out this morning they're selling GIFs, like those pictures that move, and you can print them and put them on your wall.
That is one of the most interesting things, and that's actually what's got me so frightened, confused, and weirded out, is this NFT or non-fungible token. Oh, wait a second. Mean Joe Tunes is in the space. Oh, Grown Up Mike is on time. Hello, chat friends.
Oh, what up?
Joe Tunes says, how little, how Joe, how Barry, how black, how market. You don't have time to answer all of your questions. Just because he has a record label, he can talk to us how he wants.
Yeah, stick around to find the answers.
Speaking of sticking around to find the answers, fungible. That's a weird word.
Yeah, that's a weird word.
It sounds like maybe it grows a mushroom on it.
Yeah. Or it's from the underground.
So if it is fungible, it grows a mushroom. But then non-fungible tokens, because you can't touch them, can't grow mushroom on them.
Yeah, so they're not fungusy. Yeah, it's like a rolling stone that gathers no moss.
No moss, no more.
No moss, exactly.
This is what blew my wig. All right. This is a new creative economy. This is a website called Foundation. Followed a link on Twitter. and they're doing this. We are bringing digital creators, crypto natives, that's problematic, and collectors together to move culture forward. And first thing they want you to do is connect your wallet. Scroll down a little bit, live auctions. This is what they're auctioning off. So now there's a thing. So there's a type of money that you don't have, and you're allowed to. You look at the pictures, and you could say that one is mine if you give them Ethereum, which sounds like a world that He-Man or his sister might be from. But it just the type of money that you download, and then you can point it like this little spinning chicken nugget with eyeballs, and you're like, that one's mine. That one's mine. And like right now, I'm looking at them, right? Like I click on, like, I like this one. Take a look. Wait a minute, is that the one I thought? Not the one I clicked. This one's scaring me. I don't want to do that. Okay. There, this is. You could take that. It's up for auction right now. It says it's a physical manifestation of the pressure eating hive. It's created by BZ. It's just this video. But it's not like they will mail you a VHS tape. Like right now, I'm looking at it. Oh my God, it makes a sound. Am I stealing? Is this art? Is this art heist? Like if I download.
Before, but I've had a few different experiences with this.
Completely honest with them.
Maybe just yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, but okay, so I have a few weird stories regarding this. Some recent and some old and some more weird than others. But just one thing that I can see there being a purpose here with some of this is that so okay, we're going to talk about like an actual economy that actually exists. And Jesse, I know we kind of touched on like what we really want and how money sucks. It's awesome to have and it's fun to not need it, but it sucks needing it. But
I promised Josephine we wouldn't get political.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
No. But keep going. Keep going.
Okay, well, yeah. So, I mean, this isn't. Yeah, I'm not gonna be. I'm not. Yeah. Yeah. We often make each other liars on this show. That's the one thing. But okay. So, like, as an artist in new media, first of all, this is like the innocent version of all this stuff. It's very difficult because there's people who make these video pieces that they're not movies. They're not like a thing someone's going to pay $5 to go see. I mean, maybe they would in a special way, but sometimes they're actually just like existing like frames that you hang in your house, and it's a piece, or sometimes it's the thing you play on your TV, and it's like a limited thing. Like one of the guys I know for sure who has made this kind of stuff and continues to make this kind of stuff is Ben Jones, who is from a crew called Paper Rabbit. He also had a TV show called Problem Solvers, which is on like
I thought
Cartoon Network. Yeah, so that's
everybody
like his
says
more.
His bench looks like it.
Exactly. Yeah, and so like I've known Ben for a while. Like I mean, I don't talk to him now or whatever, but I knew him in the earlier days of Paper Rad. I don't not talk to him for a reason, but he he would make these video painting pieces. So they would have a painting and they would have a video that would project on top of it. But he also made video art pieces that the gallery would sell as a CD, which is and it would have stories and skits, and some of it would just be pieces that would be changing, and they'd be ideas, they'd be like art pieces, right? So all that stuff is super fun to make, and it's really great. But the reality is, it's important to be paid as a content creator, as an
Yeah.
artist, as someone
Yeah.
who's providing entertainment and plus and culture and plus, and it just builds and it builds. Like, those people do need to get paid, and it's extremely hard to get paid. And you have people like other artists who make prints of their work. Like, let's say, like, I don't love when people make like photocopies of their paintings, but there's people who make like hand processed either risographs or um, they would make hand pulled prints, or they would make, like a zinc plate cut print or whatever. And so editions of a piece is kind of a cool idea. It's a good way to sometimes get art out that could be cheaper so more people can afford it, but it's also a good way to make multiples, and there's an interesting art form in that kind of thing too. So, but when you enter the newer realm of work, so this has been an issue for a long time with like new media work, is that people are having issues with a collector being like, why would I buy a CD of this person's work, even though you promise there's 25 made? What happens if the artist is given one out to a friend, and that friend burns it or whatever and gives it to so and so, or their hard drive gets stolen or whatever? And there's some major artists out there making this stuff. And one of the things I've thought about in that realm is, and I can talk about another art realm story later, but in that realm, this is an important way to actually be able to say, here's this thing that's unique, and it's unique to you, and there is an edition of this. And that also leads me to think a little bit about music. Now, Jesse, I know we might have some alternative ways to think, or different viewpoints on this, but it does suck that we're not making a penny off our music whatsoever.
No, I completely disagree. We do have an alternative viewpoint. Nothing would make me more sick than to ever profit from music. If somebody at gunpoint, if I was told, I will give you $1,000 to listen to this,
Wouldn't do
just
it.
let me listen to your headphones for a second, I'd be like, well then, sir, you've just made yourself a murderer. You've just signed my own death warrant, for I will never profit from the holy truth that is art and my music and how I almost learned to play ukulele. I'd rather barf on my own shoes. And okay, here's the thing. Actually, I was being facetious just now, and I do think it's really important.
Facetious Sahib?
Like,
isn't that my job?
Well, someone had to take the reins from you, boy.
Yeah.
You were too sincere. But yeah, I think it's really important for artists to be able to survive. But I'm frightened of the move to exclusion and elite ownership, and like, privacy is a really interesting thing, like having something to yourself or deciding who gets to experience it. Like, that's meaningful, but like, I've, for a long time, even while trying to like sell my music and sell tickets to my shows and, commercialize the art I want to make just because I like it, or think, has value to me. Like, they keeping people away from it makes me feel queasy. The idea that, like, look, you've got to have the disposable income. You have to have like the money that's beyond what you need to survive, and you have to get rid of that, or you don't deserve to experience the glory of my ideas.
Definitely, 100%. But now it's gone completely the opposite way, where it's, like, I get what you're saying, totally. Like, we let tons of people into our shows for free if they can't afford it. Like, that's all I've been sneaking kids into venues to, to be able to see my shows forever. And gave away so much music. But now it's just completely the opposite way. It would be cool to have something that's like a reasonable, like, I don't know, pay what you can or something like that, but on a scale of like there's actually only like we release limited edition vinyl. Of course, we know that the stuff's available sometimes online, most of the time online. But like even back in the day, you know, we would produce, you know, a certain amount and be like, one of the cool things about actually owning this and being an owner and a supporter, and you get to, you know, have this. And I'm sure bootlegging can still exist even with this, like as we just talked about. You know, you take like a video screenshot and a screen capture and then capture the audio and lay it over top. It's cool. You could do that. But it is also awesome to actually support and legit know that you're supporting, and that actually becomes an asset that maybe like appreciates. Like I'm not going to try and pretend we don't live in that world, you know, but if there's only, you know, you make 5,000 copies, you sell them for, you know, $2 each or whatever, and then that's way more than Spotify's ever going to give you for a song, you know, most likely. And, you know, and then the next minute I don't know, you've got something and people could trade it around, you know, I don't know. It's, you know, it still has something close to what it is to like buy a vinyl, but in this other world. I don't know if it'll ever fly. It's just that's a neat idea. And I know what you mean. There's a lot of scary, weird shit with this idea. So, but,
Bootleg.
yeah. I'm bootlegging this episode and putting it on my own Twitch channel.
I'm gonna make a crypto of all of the highlights of our things. I mean, I don't know. I romanticize scarcity. I like collecting things that are special, but I also, you know, if only 200 people in the world got to hear any record that is my favorite record, I wouldn't be one of them. You know, there's definitely more than a small circle of people around where a thing originates. This is a big thing. I don't want to trap business baby in this part of the conversation. I do have thoughts about it, but I'm really more fixated on fungibility. Because okay, so you mint an artwork, and it puts a code inside of it, and it's like a DNA sequence. It's 42 digits, and that means that's yours, and the whole world keeps track of the fact that you made it, and it can be transferred. But what's being transferred is like, sure, we're making up the idea that we can decide that a file can't be copied more than 20 or 2,000 times, some number of times. That's one possible use of blockchain in digital assets. What on earth does ownership mean if it's like I've got it, man, and like I'm gonna delete it. Like I don't want to. I'm not gonna try and rip off that artist. I do think it would be cool to have it playing on a screen, and I do want a guy to get paid for that by rich people. But like, I don't know what it means for owning things. Like it like, what about my stuff? It's fungible. What about ideas? Are we gonna put like numbers in our jokes?
Well, we do. We have intellectual property. We have intellectual property.
Well, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So, like, yeah, and it doesn't work very well. So what I'm picturing is like when people steal a tweet. You know, they copy the word for word a tweet, and they post it. It's like maybe the joke or the original comic strip that they crop the person's name off. Maybe inside that needs to have a string of 42 numbers that says it's actually Kira who thought of this before me. But
I see what you're saying, and it's crazy. It can be really stupid, and it can be really ridiculous, and it can be really greedy, for sure. But I'm also don't know what it does. Like as what's that?
I just don't know what it does.
Yeah.
What does it mean to have?
Okay, well, I mean, it's also okay. So here's a weird experience that in a world that it exists in, and where it has maybe more of a function is, and this is one of the stories I wanted to kind of mention about this whole thing, was that years ago, I was in California working actually with Bluebird on Swashbuckling Napoleons, and I left to go have a meeting with this dude Mark Murphy, who runs this thing called Murphy Designs in San Diego. So I went down there, and Mark took me to this meeting because he wanted me to meet some of these people he's working with on this idea. And I went to this place in Culver City, and it ended up being this party that it was a bunch of different people. There was someone from Rhino Records there. There was like some guys from bands. There was someone who was from some porn company, and a bunch of other people. And they were there basically making a digital art company for Second Life. So it was things like these kind of, I guess, non-fungibles to be sold.
The
But
Second
this is
Life is a
before I
whole
knew about.
non-fungible environment. Second Life is like,
Right.
it's a video game with no game where you walk around and be friends with people.
And you build a world, and there is money currency that crosses hands for, these fake objects that don't really exist, but people are seriously into it. Like there's a few people I know who are seriously into this, and if they got more and more into it, like, I don't, who knows where this is going to go. But these things exist in a way that they can be transferred from one source of media to the next, to the next, to the next. It's this thing. I don't get it totally, but I understand it's there, and to these people, it's important. Now, this whole party was crazy too, and they had a pool with Evian water in it. They had like this
Wait.
dude give massages to
The
everybody,
pool was
and there was
filled with Evian water?
Yes.
what's that?
Yes.
The
That's
pool
how
was
they live in
filled.
California.
The pool
It was filled
with Evian water?
Yeah, they were like, welcome to the party, and they had like. And they were like, if you need a massage, it's over there next to the pool that's filled with Evian water.
So
And I was just like,
wait. So the pool, like, you could swim in the Evian water, or it was just bottles?
No, no, it was just filled with it. It was just
That's
like a pool.
disgusting.
Oh yeah, it's
No, that's like one of
this
the most.
is not a story. This is not a glorious story. This is like a sign of disgust from like level top to bottom, man. The whole
So
thing was not.
unethical.
I'm not trying to say this is
Oh no,
dope.
I didn't think you were. I'm just reacting.
Yeah, no,
Cool. I think it's so cool. I would have went swimming. I would have got a massage, and I would have got into porn. Are you kidding me? That's like the best party.
That was the plan
Bing,
for the
bada,
night.
boom.
Like, so all these people brought their individual artists that they were kind of friends with, that they were considering working with. But then it turned out there was like a bunch of people there from like the industry that were there to just fuck everybody, and an orgy broke out. And it was just like a real
fungible?
crazy. Yeah,
Did you nearly funge those people?
A lot of people are using ointment to take care of their fungibles after that one. No, but yeah, it was just a real interesting scenario, and it was kind of weird, but yeah, I don't know. It was a strange thing, but those people, and then this company, they all ended up like suing each other, and then it never really happened. So it's interesting to see this resurgence of their idea that they had, like, I'm sure they weren't the first ones, but they were really pushing it in, I think, around like 2008.
Well, those are such interesting. The people that you described being there, especially Rhino Records, and
the guy
like
from
porn
there.
rights owners. Like, Rhino Records is notoriously like the reissue center of the universe. Like, they've always just bought up the catalogs of old labels, old artists, and like, treated it like boilerplate. Like, they've always got something that they own that people will still want, they can reissue. So that's like such an interesting type of person to be interested in, like, stamping things as ownable and resellable. And
Right.
Warren has such an ethical quandary already, with like people who produce it independently, or produce it as part of like their profession, and then it gets distributed outside of their control and outside of their agreements. And something like a a Pornhub or those types of sites. Like it's wanton piracy. And so people who are creating that type of content, video content, private video content, um, having for creators to have control over their chain, and like if somebody transmits that on the internet, they get paid literally no matter what, and nobody can steal it from them. That's very interesting. For aggregators to have control over that chain and to like take it away from people, it's terrifying. Like the
Yeah.
idea of somebody appearing in something and like the ownership is so tight and absolute after that. Um, that's worrisome. And it's so interesting that that's who was at that party.
Does
Yeah.
that does that also reflect something though of like old school the way those things used to operate, right? We have the masters, we have the
Oh yeah, like until
like
very recently.
that has that feel. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's weird, but it also like I mean, if contracts were done properly, like hopefully they never are, I guess, right? I mean, that's the old trick. Um but if it was done properly to support the artist, I mean, uh it could be cool. I don't know. Um, that's why, like right now, the situation where there's like the place that you're talking about, where they're selling like the art right now, like I don't know how the operations of that work, and if that company's like, by the way, like if you sign up with us, we also own a certain percentage of this or whatever. Who knows what percentage they're taking?
Got to be something like that's why there would be an
Yeah.
Yeah,
incentive to do. But
right.
also like minting Ethereum has a cost. And actually, I want to take it a bit back to our expert guest, because they
Yeah,
only accept Ethereum, and
definitely.
so and like there's different types of. Josephine, could you list some of the different types of cryptocurrency?
No, I don't know any.
You're laughing
I
because I don't know, but come on, you know you must. Wait, are you coin?
There's Bitcoin, crypto. Ray
Yeah.
told me just say crypto, so now I'm like,
Okay.
I'm in over my head now that you're like, what else do you know? I'm like, I literally know nothing else.
And so
Just
crypto, um, there's like, where does it come from in the world?
well, crypto comes from the ground that computers are on.
Okay, so it
The
like
ground, right?
it pulls, it pulls up like a plant.
Yes, yes, it grows through the computer. Exactly.
So you put a bunch of computers in a room. You like leave it a little dark, and they get fungible. Then and then there's more of this. So like, and there's a cost transferring. There's I think every time you transfer any cryptocurrency, pay for gas, and like it's not gas like gas, but gas like that's the name of a fake thing that you pay for. This friggin' thing. It's gonna go. Whoa. So right now, one Ethereum. Oh, it went away. Had this. Oh, there we go. One Ethereum is worth 1,859 United States currency dollars. Um, you can One Ethereum is equivalent in value by the word of God, 1,859 United States dollars. And they clarify here on Ethereum.org, you can buy as little as 0.000000000000000001 Ethereum. You don't need to buy a whole one. In the last 24 hours, there have been 1.218 million transactions of Ethereum, and I think that people paid a little percentage in Ethereum every time they did that to somebody, and this chills this turning torso, the idea of this torso and this sound. Oh, interesting. This is valued at auction right now at exactly 1 Ethereum. 1859 US bucks. It's like 2,400 Canadian bucks. And actually it's gone up about 60 bucks since this morning. Right, and I don't want to be the person who looks at some art. Like, I can, even whether I'm into it or not, I can see that there's value in this on all sorts of levels. Like, I'm impressed by stuff about it. The textures are really cool. The use of light is great, whatever. And like, just knowing how to do that and having the idea to do that, I agree with you. That's something I want someone to be able to live off of knowing. But I don't understand what it means to buy that if it's not an actual torso. Like, I think this shit looks cool. Of it.
Strange scenario. I have one of those frame TVs. You know those frame TVs? Have you seen those?
I can picture what you're talking about. Like, it's just a TV, but it keeps something in it. Like, like
Yeah. So
does it have a frame around it?
Like, yeah, it's a specific thing. So you can like alter the frame to like fit your house, right? Or fit your whatever your interior art that you want, like to fit other art you have framed on the wall.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is it comes with like a free subscription of art from actually legit artists, and you can press the button and it goes to one of the artworks that you want, right? So it
I've
sits
seen
there.
one
I
of
mean,
these in some rich guy's house.
yeah, which it's not like the most original idea because it's basically like you could make a screensaver, but it's got all these cool things like when the way light hits it and stuff, it acts differently in that. And I ended up getting one for a whole other project that's a thing that's real, that I can't really get into right now because it's a future project.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I no, for real.
Yeah,
This-
yeah. No,
I
sure,
can't
bud.
talk about that right now. Sorry.
No, but it's like it was a bit of like an eye opener because I was like, okay, there's actually a bunch of artists on here that I know, and friends of mine own their work that's worth a lot of money, but they're doing these things, and you have to pay. You can pay like a monthly subscription to show other artwork that's on there too, which I'm not doing. I'm using it to show my own work, but it's weird. It's weird. No, it's just what I do for a living. But
I'm also considered for a living. It's called hip hop.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's a weird world, and we're seeing this stuff take these different directions that I don't really like right now. But I mean, like, I also didn't like any trap music a couple years ago, and now I kind of like a little bit of it. I don't know, it's like just like there's stuff that over time you're kind of like, hey, this ain't so bad. But
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
like
know.
the quality or like the aesthetics of the art is pretty immaterial. Like, I'm reacting to it because a bunch of everything I saw this morning when I looked at it looked like if somebody in 1992 made a cartoon about what art would look like when it was all on computers.
Exactly, it's
And
hokey
like,
shit. It's sometimes it's pretty fucking hokey.
and that's obviously like my reaction based on how old I am and what my other experiences are. And to somebody who approaches it in a context that's slightly different, like like the irony strikes them the right way, or there is no irony for them, maybe. I don't know, but like there's this is obviously like a medium, like it's moving images that are accompanied by sound. That could work for me, you know.
Well, I
Music
mean, also we
video
could
isn't
like
like my
break it
favorite.
down and go back to like there's like conceptual art, right? Like conceptual art back in the day, which was like in a lot of ways a reaction to like Cold War stuff. It was like kind of socialist art in a lot of different ways too, but it also eventually ended up being sold as like a commodity also. It's basically like a list of instructions that are simple, but like, it would have some kind of meaning behind it sometimes it would just be like an expression or a happening or whatever. And you would find like later on like collectors would like buy the actual like idea. They would buy the list of instructions, and it would be in their corporation or their home or whatever would own that list of instructions, but it would be supporting an artist too, right? Who was doing cool stuff inside these like gallery spaces where they need to make money to function. And it's also like a patron giving something to allow an artist to create these things in a public sphere that many people get to enjoy, right? So it's like,
It's so wild to
and it
tie
opens up.
support to ownership. That's
It
something
is.
like that
It is.
comes from, like, we can see how that comes out of the history of art and of requiring economics to live. But it definitely gets to a point where like this concept of the relationship of ownership to the work of art is so arbitrary that it's just like a contract made of vapor. Like owning a
Yeah,
set of instructions,
sure.
like you have to, that's just like you just promise to God that it means something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's the point of money? I mean, like, what's money? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh.
money is. We can go there. It's like there's,
Beanie
you
Babies.
know, yeah, yeah. Like for real, none of it matters.
Little
It's like
Joe
what?
Barry's had an early career before baking and comedy. For podcasting, one of their first careers was Beanie Baby speculator.
No, for real?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh
Like that
my
was like a first
God.
job.
This is a real thing I did when I was like 11 and 12. I like actually collected Beanie Babies, and I like harvested them in like glass cages in front of me in my room, and I would not play with them. And I had hundreds and hundreds, and I would like not take the tag off. And I like was very passionate about collecting them for long enough that when I was older, like now, I could resell them for a lot of money.
They take care of you. You take care of them, they take care of you.
I know. And then by a weird twist of events, like I didn't keep my like 500 Beanie Babies and Buddies and Teenies. I didn't keep them. And now that I'm older, I've been looking online to buy other people's.
Oh my
I
God.
feel like I've become the problem.
You've become your own retirement plan.
Like I'm the problem.
Well, how did you get rid of yours? How did you get rid of yours? What?
I was so pissed off, and I was so angry about not playing with them that I threw them
Yeah.
in a dumpster. Like the whole collection, I threw it in a
Wow.
dumpster.
Whoa.
And I waited until I was like 19 to throw them out. Like I held onto them for a very long time.
Yeah.
Now I regret it every day.
I feel like there's a really good artistic film could be made of this, where like
Yes.
like if like as a child you were told a prophecy, like a fortune teller was like, one day great money will cross your hands for these toy animals you love, and you're like, I'm gonna get rich, and then you hoard them all up, and then you throw them away, and then when you get to be your age, you're like, no, I must buy them, and then you try to buy them back, and then the fortune teller's voice echoes in your ears like, haha, dummy, you didn't think.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even need to be a movie. That's like what my life is right now.
It could be not a movie, but what if it was just like a looping 4K animation that played eternally on Thesis's wall? Would you?
Yeah, and you can bid on it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's worth an Ethereum. If that's worth, if anything.
Yes, I agree.
If it's worth $1, it's worth an Ethereum. I always say. My Beanie Babies was Kenner Star Wars figure.
Right.
And I did a really similar, brilliant investment move. Where I had the Darth Vader carrying case, like the torso, or the bust of Darth Vader. You flip it out. There's room for about, I don't know, a few dozen Kenner figures in there, and I got it at a yard sale originally, so it was a bit beat up, but they had everyone's name was on the hole that would fit them. just like that Spiral guy manga. This is my hole. It was made for me. You know who I mean? That one that Ray has. Anyway,
Wait, what's it called?
the Spiral one, the Spiral manga that Ray has, where somebody like finds a hole that's the exact shape of his body in the wall, and he starts screaming, "It's my hole! It was made for me!" And he climbs inside and never comes out. That's what the Darth Vader head was like, and so, and I had, I had they came from birthdays, they came from, I don't know, finding them, they came from trading with my other friends, and definitely yard sales, because it's like I'm getting them throughout the '80s. Star Wars came out just before I was born. These toys have been around since the late '70s, and I had like this beloved collection, and I didn't think of them as an investment. I beat the crap out of them. They were not in good shape because I would take them out to the beach. I would lose them in the snow. Me and my pal Nicky would run out in the woods by White's Lake, and we would set fire to some of the G.I. Joes he had. He was rich, so we only burned his toys. Got the scar from the hand of a G.I. Joe that was like, don't! But so I went, and then in grade 9 in 1994, it was school trip time, and we had to fundraise for a school trip, and I gathered up all the stuff that I was like 15 about, and grew out of everything except for rap. The only thing I liked now was Raekwon CDs, and so I'm like, I think I'm pretty much done playing with stuff. I'm just gonna be cool and read my Hitchhiker's Guide books and listen to Wu-Tang Clan. And so I took all of my toys over to the school gym, and we're gonna have a flea market. Somebody came up and saw my Darth Vader head full of several dozen Kenner Star Wars toys. Hammerhead, Walrus Face, Luke and Leia and Han in their Moon of Endor outfit. The trooper that's supposed to be on a bike, but he doesn't have the bike. Emperor, obviously. Darth Vader, obviously. Obi-Wan. None of them have their robes. That stuff all broke. But like, the beautiful, most important things of my life, they're all in here. And some kid came up and saw that I had put, some grown adult came up and saw that I had put $5 on the Darth Vader head. And he was idiot. Like, "Yep."
Oh, so rough.
He ruined that child's life. That man was Elon Musk. And he took those toys and he minted them the first Star Wars coin, which you can spend today at Lucasfilm parking lot.
That's amazing.
Just to like park if you get something. But yeah, Beanie Babies. So like, what was your first Beanie Baby, Josephine?
I think like my parents just got me one, and then they like told me they would be worth a lot one day, and like I really love tasks, and I really love working. So from a young age, I feel like if there was a way to like work or be busy, I would do it. So because my parents told me they were worth a lot, I became like really obsessed with like buying them or asking them for like every birthday, every holiday. I'd be like, oh, I need Beanie Babies. I need. And I would get them and I would put them in their cases and put them on the wall just to watch me,
To watch you get richer and richer.
I was like, watch this. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you say that you don't understand minting crypto, you're a goddamn liar. You're the original. You're the original crypto. You had a whole Silk Road, Alibaba, dark web in your room of little animals.
You can say that. Yeah.
Chops the lamb. Okay. I don't know if we got to the bottom of fungibility, but I think that we all learned something, whether we wanted to or not.
Definitely, man.
Little Joe Berries, I really appreciate you joining us for this deep economic, and philosophical examination. And more people can get more of this type of business and economic insight from your podcast which is on all podcast platforms, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't talk about Beanie Babies so much, but yes, it's about the same as this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's called Business Baby, which is a lot like Beanie Baby, and it's gonna make you rich. So it's similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So everybody, get on your Spotify's and your Google and your Stitchers, and I don't know, Apple has a podcast thing, and check out Business Baby. You're gonna get little Joe Barry talking with different small business owners about things like collaboration, why it's important to go to therapy if you're going to employ people, stuff people don't really talk about. And
awesome.
Unlike all this fungibility nonsense, it's true.
It's real. It's based in reality.
It's real.
Yeah, exactly. And what about your restaurant too?
Yeah, I also own a bakery, but that's less good. So stay with the podcast. That's good for now.
Okay. Well, I loved your bakery when in Ottawa. So, but yeah, that's dope.
Those of you who come to Ottawa, just email us and we'll tell you where to find the bakery. I'll drop a link to the podcast in the notes. Thank you so much for joining us, Josephine.
Thanks,
you. Josephine. Nice to see you again.
Bye. Bye.
What if I just never turned it away?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
See if the cat will come.
All right. I'm just going to shut down the green room.
Okay, word. Joel is taking care of the guests, putting them in the limo, and then tucking them in. Taking them right into the house and tucking them in.
We have this lovely like sleeping limo that the guests travel to and from the show in, and Joel doesn't have his proper license for it.
No, not at all. Not at all. But
so far so good.
We could just blame it on the school, really. I mean, that's who he's. That's the whole thing, right?
Wouldn't be the first time.
Oh man. Okay, look. We got to talk about this. This is a serious thing. This is some shining some light on some history here. Back in the day, we heard about this battle, this legendary battle, as super fans of the West Coast. At least myself, I guess I could say, huge Hyro fan.
Fuck the West Coast, but I love these guys only.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, man, this shit is amazing. As a fan of the Fellowship, fan of the Hyro crew, and then learning about the Hobo Junction through Saphir's appearance on Casual's album Fear Itself, where Saphir does this totally awesome verse as a guest, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, hearing that they had this huge beef, and what that was my history coming to it. I heard they had beef, and I was like, "What is this all about?" And
it was like a rumbling in the underground. Like people talked about it. Like it was a long time before I heard any of it. It was just like, "Oh wow, these guys, these great rappers that we all like and we thought were friends, they had a rap battle. They rapped at each other to fight."
Yeah, and this strange mentality too, because Hyro was so different than the other rap I was into, but then Saphir's stuff was even like weirder. He's rapping all intricately strange and like off, and like more like the imagery was stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was super hard for me to get his CD. Someone had a cassette of it, so it's like I dubbed that fungible asset. Did I say that right? I was a bootlegger with just one boot on, and I got that album. It was amazing. Eventually, I got the CD of it. Later on, years later, I got a vinyl pressing of it, which was sort of like an underground kind of thing I got from.
Is this Boxcar Sessions you're talking about?
Yeah, Boxcar Sessions. I got it from ATAC. Anyways, that's a whole other side note. But I got the vinyl of that, which I'm really stoked about. I was trying to find it actually before the show because I wanted to show it off. But
I have the 12-inch of Light Sleeper. It's on green vinyl, and I found it in a basement that Joe Run took me to in Halifax because he knew a guy who was selling a whole bunch of records at once. One time when I was visiting home, I went. This is a very, very short story, but I just went to meet with Ambition and Uncle Fester at a record show. And I think after that, they were like, "Yo, Joe's gonna show us this place where these guys are selling records." And I think in there, I found 2 copies of Light Sleeper. No, a copy of Light Sleeper, a copy of the Smart Bomb 12-inch by Saphir, and also the Bums 12-inch that has Saphir on the B-side. For whatever reason, there wasn't a lot of hip hop, almost just that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, those are good ones to have for sure. Yeah, and like I love Saphir's delivery. Of course, there's a couple songs on the album I think are total garbage, but like in general, I think it's pretty cool. And I love his flows, and he's mysterious, and who's this Hobo Junction and stuff. So friends of mine owned this store called Soul Choice, and the guys from Soul Choice had my friend AJ there had a cassette, and it was I believe it was a Bobbito cassette, and the only reason I bought it though was because it had supposedly the battle on it, and it was this super small snippet of the battle where it makes Hyro sound ridiculous.
Was it maybe a Wake Up Show tape, or was it Bobbito had played some of it on?
I forget exactly, and I know I have the tape somewhere, and I just couldn't dig it out before this. I think it's actually like at my mom's house or something. But
she's been bumping it. I know that like she's been
bumping it. She's been wearing that tape out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I caught a little bit of it, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. And then next minute there's the internet, and I remember looking up stuff and finding little bits of this, and there was supposedly some like conference where they battled and some other stuff, and I was all confused, and I at some point you just kind of like you're confused and you give up,
Yeah.
And
it's just a myth.
Yeah.
Like we know it happened, we believe it happened, but we have no evidence, and we almost don't need it.
But the word was also that Saphir had killed Hyro and ruined their career, and it was like also at this point, inevitably, like the second Souls of Mischief, I didn't like quite as much. I didn't quite as much love like some of the newer direction of some of the stuff. But now I can listen back and appreciate it more. But at the time, I was like a little bit
we were all haters at the late 90s. Nobody could make us happy. We had just lived through the early and mid 90s, and we were like, you can't impress us. We just heard the best music could ever possibly be.
Ever.
Nice try.
And then
the same people who made it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, soon after that, it's like we also had like AC Alone doing like Book of Human Language and stuff, and we're like, that's where we want to see this go.
Yeah.
And like Left Heroics and this kind of thing, and we're like, we want to go further. We want to go further. We don't want to hear about how you're a star now, like that kind of thing. But and that was one of the lines that was on the tape was like Tajay, where he's like, my name is Tajay. I'm a star. How many units have you sold in your life? Probably none, or something like this. And I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like I was like,
that's also what he said to Lars. That's what he said to Lars after the talk at his school. Lars came up and was like, "Do you have any advice on becoming a rapper?" And he's like, "Look, I'm a star."
Yeah.
Left a weird taste.
That's amazing. Yeah, man. Gam's up in here. Yeah, so, I mean, Saphir's dope. I mean, I was a huge fan of all that stuff, and it defined me, and their freestyle abilities and everything were and that's okay. So yeah, we're about to get into this battle. So enough talk. Let's
just all check it out. So we're gonna watch it with you. It's just a little movie. Take a trip with us, and we'll be in the chat with you.
Yeah. Battle.
Okay. Oh, no. Movie.
Back, yo.
Where you at?
Turn the radio down real quick. Yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, we about to be there in a minute, man. I've been calling for like an hour, man.
Where you at?
We down the street about maybe 5 minutes. Send somebody downstairs to open the door. It's me, Joe, Harv, and Rez, man. We downstairs.
All right, y'all got beats?
Yeah.
Man, we got about 150 brothers up here.
They're ready to rhyme and you know what I'm saying?
And I'm probably being, kind of modest. We really got about 200, so y'all have to bring your asses on up.
Hey, yo, send somebody downstairs right now, B.
All right.
All right, man.
I remember when Hyro battled Hobo Junction.
I mean, battling was just a part of the landscape, is what you had to be prepared to do.
At that point in time, we was paving the way. We was bringing back the confrontational, hip hop.
There was a lot of friction brewing between Hobo Junction and hieroglyphics back then.
So the battle between Busy Bee and Kool Moe Dee had a different tenor than the battle between Hyro and Hobo. It was personal, and there was like legitimate beef behind it. Like, let's take this to the streets beef. In fact, there was a little bit of that night. It got all tense.
Keep it real, baby. All right? You know what I'm saying? Yo, water!
That whole thing wasn't really even about Hobo Junction and hieroglyphics, man. It turned into that, you know what I mean? That was really something between me and Kaz.
But I felt they were all from the same movement. They all hung out in the same circles. They all knew the same people.
I was close to them dudes. We didn't come up together. You know, they from the East, I'm from the West, you know what I'm saying?
And we also was in the high performance cars. And we used to go racing through the streets of Oakland. His car was tight.
I have respect for them dudes, man. They embraced me on a lot of levels.
When this beef started brewing, I started kind of investigating it, and what came back was that Saphir did something for Fear Itself on Casual's album.
Fear Itself, I put him on my debut album, let him do a little highlight showcase on my album. When I was signing a job, I was thinking that might, you know, be a good look for you.
I felt honored, you know what I'm saying, when he asked me to be on his shit, you feel me? And that's why I wanted to do something real clean for him.
Schizophrenic tenant number one. When it comes to housing, arousing the intellect with introspect. Flex on me? I don't think so yet, bitch.
And he was expecting something in return from Casual for his album, Boxcar Sessions.
A couple months later, he had got his deal, and he called me to come to the studio. I couldn't make it. But I was gonna go. Like, yeah, all right, I'll be over there.
I felt disrespected when the shoe was on the other foot. I was there for him.
Honestly, I called him at the last minute and was like, can't make it tonight, let's do it another day. He wasn't feeling doing it another day for some reason. I was in my head like, you could do it another day. Like, I know how it works. You could just start working on another song now, and we could get back to that song on another day. But he started posturing. You wasted my money. That's what he told me on the phone, and I was like, what? I'm wasting your money?
I set him up to shine, you know what I mean? On a cold track and all of it, and he just like blew it off. I was hurt, man.
You can't just work on something else. That's what I was thinking, but what came out my mouth was, I was like, you putting too much on it.
It wasn't deep enough to where it would to be dealt with from a street point of view, you know what I'm saying? But it was deep enough to where I felt it should be addressed, you know? And I tried to holler at Kaz about it. He didn't leave me an option, man. He only left me a couple options to really peel from.
Our friends were putting themselves into the beef somehow, and it accumulated until I had a show at the Kennel Club.
I wasn't trying to really take it to the radio and get all dissing and getting evil and all that. I wasn't even trying to do all that. Me and Kaz, we battled in the club. I think it was in Frisco. And I heard he had a show, and I went up to the club, and the man at the door didn't believe who I was.
Somebody came to me right before I was about to go and was like, Saphir and them at the door. They don't want to let him in. And I was like, what? Looked around, we was dumb deep in the house. I was like, let him in, let him in, let him in.
And somebody came out, you know, so I went in and
I let him on stage. So I was like, he had a problem, so I was like, grab the mic.
Got on stage with Kaz, and we got down on the stage, man, which it was raw at the time, man. I never told you that, man. You was spitting that night breath.
He grabbed the mic. We started rhyming at the Kennel Club. He kind of shocked me because I was like, all right, this fool got written. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, you know an MC. You said, and somebody just come to your shit prepared with some shit they just got through practicing at the house. So I'm like, cool. That's when I first was like, I'm just about to freestyle. We rhymed there, it was what it was. He got some hoo-ha's, whatever.
And at the core of it, I think it's always just that competitive spirit between MCs. And there was all these little idle threats, these subliminal messages that they were putting out on the airwaves. Well, back then, you know, me and Tech, man, we were, you know, as deep as they were as MCs, we were as radio personalities and MCs. We come from this. So my thing was, well, rather than talk about it, be about it. Let's put, you know, you want a battle? Then let's set up a battle on the Wake Up Show.
So we had a meeting before that Wake Up Show happened, and we said, all right, let's make sure everybody's super on point, make sure everybody's in the studio that day, because everyone didn't come every week.
Sway called us to the radio station. So You know, fools was like, he came with something prepared for you. I'm like, man, I'm not writing no rhymes for this dude. You know, I'm just gonna say what I gotta say when we get there.
And we set it up, man. I said, well, let's make this as big as it can be, because this is Northern California, and we were wise enough to know that it was gonna bring attention, national attention to what we're doing here, and overall it's gonna help out the hip hop scenes.
This is another thing I tripped off. He had press people at Cram when I got there. So when I thought, I was like, is this stage? It's like, it's a setup. They made us do a picture, standing face to face, like Tyson Holyfield or something. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, I was really feeling real, this was before we battled, feeling real uncomfortable, but like, this kind of like a setup. He's trying to come up off me. How his label know we battling? Why is there press people here? I'm thinking all this stuff while we doing a little face-off. I'm like, oh, it's on.
So we got publications involved. We have people talking about it up until the point where that battle day happened. And when I tell you, it's only a few events in my life that just kind of stirred me up like that day.
Yo, so we got Casual right here. What's up, B? How you feeling, money? Chilling, cooling, you know what I'm saying. Y'all ready to set this off? Yeah! So, yo. Okay, we gonna roll into one more record. I'm gonna go get Sophia and the Hobos, you know, and we gonna give y'all what y'all been tuned in for. Right. You know what I'm saying? What's up, dude? We gonna give y'all what y'all been tuned in for. You know, this OMC battle type thing.
But leading up to that battle, man, I remember, because I was engineering the show, the board, so I was behind the board, and, you know, and Tech was on the other side, and I remember prolonging it on purpose. We got the battle happening, coming up on the show. I prolonged it till the last hour of the show. And the entire Northern California was tuned in to KMEL.
At the time, that was like a whack battle, if you ask me, because a lot of us let adrenaline. You know, we was screaming in the studio, heck of adrenaline, no real moderation.
It had got to such a powder keg point between those two groups that I don't even feel like they were themselves. They probably all had an outer body experience.
We honestly did not have a dog in that fight. It's like, let's see you cats battle. Whoever wins, wins. That's what's up.
They came in, we put Hyro and all the group, all the collective from Casual. So everybody was on one side. And then we put the Hobo Junction on another side. And man, them boys walked in looking menacing. Man, I just knew something was gonna happen. So I told Tech, hey Tech, stand right in between them because everybody respects King Tech. So nobody's gonna fight over King Tech's shoulders. You know what I mean? I was on the other side of the board, so I couldn't be, because I was engineering the whole thing. Man, we kind of explained the rules. And right from there, it was like an out-of-body experience. Just watching it. Like, it was the most amazing, beautiful conflict that you could ever witness.
Yo, hey, Sophia the Saucy Nomad. I'm the boss, you know that. Cash on the mic to let you know. No, I'm not waking up, cause them C's are getting eaten up. And niggas wanna get beaten up if they wanna take it to that. But I be making the rap to slice and dice the back men. Casual attacking. You know, when the high road flow, we go inside of your heart and rip it apart. Do when it like that. Me and Pep Lover, no other nigga can't step up. I'm wrecking the microphone to let you know I got a flow, and nigga you whack, so step the F back. I ain't cursing, my verse in your face, dispersed in the bass, letting you know. Casual the flow, so feel you hear the way I'm coming at you. You whack, do you wanna practice? The Mac is on the motherfucking microphone telling you you never will sell when you not with me, cause it's the high road crew, and that's how we do. Kick a style if you can, off the head, cause I'm the man. Casual flow grand, and you playing. I'm on the mic to rip it up like that. Now kick your written rap, kick it written rap.
You know, the battle was cold. It really was. I wasn't really focused on the shit around me. I was real focused on not getting ripped.
Oh, with the written, here I come with the written. Nigga, did your mama tell you that you was my son? When I'm done, your ass will run like a stocking. Nigga, you a carbon copy, you started sloppy. I'm 100% concentrated on easing nooses around the necks of these tricked insects with vagina lips. Your spinal will grip paralysis, if I remember correctly. You said, fuck the west side, oh, well now you gotta ride, come clean with dirt. But then again, a hoe can't come clean through mini skirts, I'ma insert depositories in them stories that don't stick. Nigga, I got chapters, I got fly papers. Nigga, you one story, I'm a skyscraper. You scary ass secretary, I'ma check this receptionist, ain't it? Like a boss. Players in the game don't change exteriors. Nigga, you ain't serious, you off and on like a period. Back up, I ride till the wheels fall off. I ride till the wheels fall off. Your heels are falling off, I'ma make them toes touch down in town 37th, nigga. Right where you at, right where the match supposed to be. You need to bounce because you're like, never. You shoulda never came close to me, you ain't my sector. I'ma step to you with, the wet shit. Oh shit, I don't even have to think of go, nigga. Go.
I was saying writtens and freestyles. People was making a big deal about that. Oh, you wasn't freestyle, you wasn't saying freestyles, that shit, that wasn't real. Like, come on, man. That's like going into the UFC and come in boxing and not using your legs. That's like, man, if you fight me, I'm using elbows, hands, feet, fingers, you know, I'm using everything, man. Freestyles and written, man, you know what I'm saying? You can't set a precedence on what is used in a battle and what's not.
The battle starts, it gets kind of heated, but we had security in there. Like I said, ahead of time we knew what time it was, so we had security in there ready.
I was listening and I was going to go, but I was like, someone's gonna get arrested. I'm not. I ain't getting arrested tonight, bruh. Not over the microphone. Cats was hot.
Here we go. Yeah. Casuals on the mic, I might wreck supreme. When I hop on the mic, you know I dominate. Yes, this rhyme was great. Sophia, you ain't doing nothing. You button. When you rap, you a sap, and you know that. Your flow is skinny, you're not fat. I hop on the mic, rolling with many from the east to know. I got the beast inside it. I ride with my folks. Folks a joke in the whole hobo junction. Can't rock a function. I'll hop on the mic, eat you for lunch when I do it. MCs are hop to it. Y'all niggas whack. Don't write some more rap. I be hopping on it, doing it like I need to. Casual exceed you. Don't grow some weed so you can get as dapper as me. The rapper can be casual. The master soap. The ass let's go to a rapping school because I'm slapping fools who don't know. That's how it's going. I'm showing the whack eye attack off the top of the dome. You're going to go home feeling sad. Probably gonna play some Madden. MCs don't know casual is fat. I ain't cursing.
It was supposed to be Casual versus Sophia, and then it turned into Hyro versus Hobo.
Ooh, I'm the one to which one turns for help in desperation and some funk, like A+ did in the DNA club like a lady. You don't spend 300 on a 380, stupid ass nigga.
In the rap, when he talking about you don't buy no 380 for 300, stupid, it's because one night after he did all that, his fool came to my house. When I come to the front door, I look through the door, it's Sophia at my motherfucking front door with one of his partners sitting by the car. I go grab my little 380. I just had a little 380 at the time, it wasn't nothing. Fuck it. I come out to the porch with my hoodie on, like this, in this hoodie. I'm like, what's up? He's like, bro, I wanted to come talk to you about blah, 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 blah. Man, we got down to the talking all the way to the, I was like, yeah, bro, because you know, I said it was like, oh, you remember? And that's why when we was, I was like, yeah, cops off plea for like 300 or something like that. So when we was rhyming, if you listen back to the battle, he was like, stupid, you don't buy no 380 for 300 or whatever. So I was like, oh, he originated the personals. They call those personals in battles now.
You don't spend 300 on a 380, stupid ass nigga. You not fat, you don't belong with a cat, you belong with a Mac. Join our crew, we'll call you fat cock. You can bring me my Jock Draws mascot. Hey, you don't know, where's my lunch? I'm having a sucker for supper, suckling sap tap water flower. I be beyond like Evian. Tell Tajay to get out your ear. Nigga, come jump on my dick, my name is Sophia. Come bring me my nameplate. Nigga, your game is fake. You a mark, you put your shit down on stage. Nigga, I seen shit dripping out that little booty. It's defected in that section. Hey, come fuck with me. Come fuck with me. Put that bitch ass nigga on the phone. Put him on the phone. Yeah, put that bitch nigga on the phone. You talking about me? Yeah, you niggas sound sick. Yeah, you niggas can't rap.
Use a bitch. Always talking about that shit. You from Fresno. All about West Side, oh. You not from Tufo. Don't nobody from West Side know who you are. My name is Tajay. I am a star. How many units have you moved in your lifetime? About 3, you get booed whenever the show is in
Saphir's biggest problem was that he had to carry the whole crew. I always felt like the rest of the dudes in the Junction were good, but they weren't as good as all of Hyro.
Nigga, I'ma make you fuck with me, sucker. Nigga, this is westbound pound. Nigga, I'ma see you in that Range Rover. You and your bitch can't get over the freeway ramp. Nigga, use a scamp and you rolling the Toyota. Nigga, you can't fuck with Yoda. I'm a master blaster. Nigga, you shatter like plaster. More gas, nigga, can't fuck with the grave digger. Fuck with me, nigga, I got Mr. Taylor. Do me a favor, smack this nigga named Casual. Nigga, I'ma start the funky swell. That dome, nigga, drunky son, got bomb daily. Fuck with me, I'm like Bailey, catching bodies with no shotties. Straight uppercuts with these things. I don't bang or slang. I just get down with no G thing. Nigga, can't fuck with the dick slang. You know what I'm saying?
And Saphir was definitely, as an individual, as good as Hyro, but he couldn't deal with all of them. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you really think about what he faced down as a solo MC, essentially, you know, like, it's actually incredible.
How you gonna speak on gas talking about I shoot ya? Transforming from dreads and punky roots to ass sweaters and skateboards. Hey, now come on, you swear up and down you started me freestyling. Nigga, I've been rhyming since you was a younger coward. I did my first demo when you was a memo in a love letter. Straight hustling, spitting sacks, moving the crowd. Robbing niggas like you that went to Bishop O'Dowd. I'll twist my shroud and switch my shit on a level you never seen. Nigga, you got white cream dripping out that infection section. Started back in the day in September of 93. Do you remember when you and A-Flea used to come over my house and buy sacks from me? I still get down with like bake. You used to want weight gain and me to weight train you, but you couldn't gain 2 pounds. It wouldn't have done no good. You ain't down. You a mark. You a mark. I'm getting docked by this trick. A playmate for my diction. Saucy with the science. The fact is there's no fiction. You're scary. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with a slang dictionary. Nigga, you still play Pictionary with mom and dad. You grew up with wing things named Buffy and Brad. Used to talk like this. That's rare. Let's go surfing. Jerky like a nerd. Real niggas in the land know what's happening with your clown ass clan. Now some of you niggas I didn't have no beef with. But if you step into me, I'm leaving you with a reef tipped around that neck, 6 feet deep in a tape deck. Let's take it to wax and see who shit is really fat. But them heads is too bloated and them flows is root beer floated. You pencil neck, piss colored Gumby, you can't fuck with me.
As far as the crew getting involved with the beef, I never liked it. I never liked the fact that it was Hyro versus Herbo, because it wasn't. Somebody was manufacturing all this and making it bigger and involving more people in it.
I was focused on him, you know what I mean? OPO, he ripped. He came in and said it, you know, he came in swinging.
Check it out. Backstabbing ass niggas like you make me furious, curious where you got your style from. Oh, Lindsay, no, I'm not dumb. When I hop on the microphone, I'm come right in your girl's mouth. Nigga, no, I don't come from down south. East Oakland chillin', nigga, my pops is your lawyer. You came to my house every single day and did not say shit. Pussy whip, bitch, and your crew too. You can't say shit to me, Oakland Z. When I grab the microphone, a frenzy of sharks. Y'all are awesome marks. Standing on the other side, yeah, we ride down the strip every day and pop at hella bitches, nigga. Take them to the tail, you ain't nothing but a mark. Don't say shit cause you's a liar. Catch you all out there and set you on fire. Yeah, like that. On the mic right now, the nigga quit last year. You know the void is mine past the mic. To the next nigga who wanted. Hope Lizzie flaunt it. Yeah, all y'all niggas taunted and got teased. But you know I skis your bitch, nigga. Get stitched up. Shut the hell up. Probabilities reign supreme, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas, check us out. Check us out.
Hey, yo, we gotta go to commercial. We got one more.
Oh, before he did this, I like, bro, it's good. But he came in ripping. If that was a freestyle, it was hard. If that was a freestyle, it was hard.
You know, you want to hear the real story? I'm born, bred, and fed in East Oakland. I don't really know where they come from, but they appeared in Oakland. So when that signal went out on the radio and people heard that's John Owens on the radio, funkin', I swear to God, when we stepped out into the lobby, it was full of East Oakland.
The radio battle was crazy, and it was street shit going on too at the same time. It wasn't like we was just rapping, it was a rap atmosphere.
On everything. Wasn't nobody else there. Wasn't no supporters for Saphir. Wasn't none of that. Matter of fact, rest in peace, Seagram, East Oakland rapper showed up. I barely even knew Sieg, but the legend of Sieg. I stepped back out. East Oakland in the house. What's up? Where this dude at? And I'm like, oh, it's way over my head now.
I was like, me and Seagrams had words, and you know, I had my cousin with me, he OG from the West, and Sieg had 2 big ass gorillas with him. And we like, man, you whoop whoop on a show from some other shit at the DNA. So I'm like trying to keep from funking with him.
MP, Seagram, everybody, Lamar, Daniels, I'm talking about people I've seen since the kindergarten out there thinking it was bigger than what it was, because what it sounded like on the sound wave, it sounded like we were straight fighting in the studio.
We had some words and he mobbed out, and we all got on the elevator, and we was like 6 deep on the elevator, and I'm thinking, oh shit, it's about to go down.
I just remember it was looking ugly, and I was like, oh, this is cold. And the doors was closed, and then I was like, oh shit.
We get downstairs, he jumped if I hit a 50, he jumped in the 50, start swinging this shit in front of Camiel, and pulled out the pistol, and started letting off, and you know what I'm saying? I was like, okay.
So we got on the next elevator, went downstairs. It was all kind of ruckus out there, to where I don't even want to go into no detail, but at the end, people was like, it was like gunfire and all kind of stuff.
You know, both perspective sides, not the hieroglyphics, but just, you know, the street shit that was going on. It was thick, you know, and so it was, but we kept it cool, you know what I'm saying?
So as far as letting the battle deteriorate, we was still young, we was immature, we was full of testosterone and had 2 real big egos. That's why I put him on my album, because I'm like, all right, like you fuck with it like I fuck with it, you know what I'm saying? You know, I was trying to get thrown out of hand, but I really felt backstabbed to keep it 100.
Being right there and having to even being a part of it, and I hope these guys realize it, because I'm not sure if everybody walked away feeling happy about that battle. Because the way we did it is, we just had callers call in. We just like, we had somebody, 2 interns on the phone, you know, who you want, Hobo Junction or hieroglyphics? And as it kept going, you know, we're marking, and it was even.
We counted every single call. This is my word. I put this on everything. It split right down the middle. At the end, we tallied up and counted all the votes. I think there was maybe a difference of like 2 votes. And this is in hundreds of votes. So we were like, that's a draw. It's a draw. It was a draw. They both did amazing work.
I brought my nigga Saphir on the mic, and we ain't got no duties. We don't owe nothing to nobody. I just want to be happy that the motherfucker in this motherfucking building one time.
You know, you really brought out the best. You know, you made me want to be a monster. You feel me? And I respect it.
We ain't tripping. We can laugh and tell these stories together, sit next to each other, and be like, it was on that night. Yeah, it was on. I was gonna fuck you up. No, I was gonna fuck you up. But whatever, you know what I'm saying? And to show people that shit'll be cool. So I got the utmost respect for the whole Hobo Junction, that they still around and doing their thing too.
What was the good that came out of the battle? From that battle, which is probably, I don't know, one of the most historic battles ever, top 5, I guarantee you. It depends on how deep your history goes, you know. That put a spotlight on the Bay Area and the Bay Area hip hop scene that stamped its credibility forever.
Cool.
Gracious.
Yeah.
Rap is out of control.
Rap is out of control. Rap is the best.
Rap is the best. To quote DJ Chaps. Rap is the
I only
best.
listen to rap. Yeah.
But I got, you know, I am still the same person today that MC Frank Deluxe ran into in front of Tony's Pizza and couldn't believe that we were ever going to be friends. Like, to me, that battle, I can see the energy and how exciting it would have been to be there. But like when I eventually heard it, it was better as a legend. You know, like there's a few moments where they slip into these flows where I'm like, oh wow. But like there's maybe 2 lines total that I thought were even cold that were like good.
Here's the thing though, man. I don't know about you, but I've been in plenty of nights, especially like nights at Kilgore's or nights at the Tool Shed or after shows and stuff like that,
Yeah.
where we feel like we're vibing and we're killing it and we know who comes out on top generally. Like someone's like, oh, that guy rapped the best, that person killed it the best.
Because it's a feeling.
And there's nights
more than anything.
it's just feeling in the mood, and there's the tension, and there's like how everybody's looking at each other, and when when certain friends are like, oh, dope, and certain people are, or someone from another crew goes, yeah, sure, exactly, but there's times when those sessions have been recorded, and you listen back, and you're like, none of this is good. Like that's happened. I've seen that happen so many times. Like Scribble Jam, even. What I mean? You look at the battles, you're like, this isn't good. Like a lot
I guess you do have to put yourself in the moment, and I'm not great at that. Like
it's hard on video. It's hard. Yeah.
And watching it, and like, those are all like writers I respect, and of course, like, it seems pretty clear when Saphir slips into a written line because it all of a sudden flows incredible. And it is, I do get sort of like this watching watching like a sport or a competition feeling where like someone who's a master, I see them slip. Like when one of them like sort of falls off and like mumbles and like that's the end of the line. Like that's interesting. And if one of them like slips into a line where it's like, oh, they thought of that 4-syllable rhyme just on the spot, especially with Hyro. That's amazing. But like the most remarkable thing was how angry they all were.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, this is the thing. It's like, I actually, it's funny because I just last night was rewatching some of the Shad's show about, and it was the part where it was the Tupac and the Biggie thing, and it's like, there's outsiders who just love to push. There's people who are maybe like the less valuable people in. What's that?
The outsiders.
The outsiders, exactly. Yeah, there's like the people who don't matter. Like, like I've been there in graffiti crews where it's like the person who's probably not even going to be with you in next month is the one who's starting and instigating the beef. Do you know what I mean? Like with other people. And that's
whacked
like,
this is word burglar, and then I jump in to diss them back.
Exactamundo. No, but for real, like there's always some kind of like hanger on who is like, and they're the one who's like cheering their pal in the background, like, yeah, I know him, he's my, whatever, like, or he's dating my cousin or whatever, I mean, there's some like bullshit that doesn't even matter, and those are the people who like push the argument and turn it into something way different.
Yo, these rappers trying to say that I was hating. I wasn't. I only stepped up because he was dating my cousin.
My cousin. Yeah. Hate dating your cousin. But yeah, it's all right. Speaking of slip ups. But yo, like, here's the thing. Even though casual, like, okay, so yeah, Saphir's doing these freestyles, but like or writtens that are like, but like they're choppy and they're weird, and like I don't know how much of it's written, how much of it isn't. I'd be pissed if I was trying to freestyle. But also, Casual is saying stuff that I've actually literally heard him say on his album. Like a couple lines.
He clearly has these crutch lines, like you try to practice because the Mac is like
yeah, you ain't fat.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
I think I've heard a rapper say another rapper wasn't fat before.
Right, exactly.
It was a little bit. Not pearls before swine. It's like pearls before like equally good oysters, but not at the right moment. The Saphir's best lines were just not coming with like hard hitting. Like his lines that I listened to and I'm like, oh, good. Like they weren't moving the room of all these angry men.
Interesting. Yeah, totally. Yeah, whereas, it was more when he was saying something misogynistic. Everyone was like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Well, and
it's like, yeah.
And our beloved hieroglyphics, our Souls of Mischief and Casual, like you know, who do say some bullshit in their best rhymes also, but like they were just almost exclusively showing how upset they were. That was the whole thing on display. Like because there was no lyrics. Like they were showing their patterns, and that's like the the soul of West Coast freestyling, and it's very beautiful. A lot of the time is keeping the rhythms going, and the syllables like weaving around each other. But like if they're all just saying this is what you wanted, you flaunted, you taunted, and were teased, like those guys, that's not interesting from them. Like, they're brilliant. Those guys are brilliant. And
but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. They're just saying these things, right? They're
Yeah.
not like bringing up, like, it's actually cooler that, like, Saphir brought up that thing about that personal, as he calls
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
like that is cooler. And like he actually
Don't pay
gets to
300
the
for
heart of it.
380.
Stupid. Yeah, exactly. And as Les pointed out, like that whole part about like whether it's pre-written or whatever, it definitely is the way that those guys would get at Hyro, being like, you guys aren't really as gangster as us, you're a bunch of skater kids. Which was like, which is what Hyro was appealing to, whether they were or weren't or whatever, and like, oh, you went to that school and you're an idiot because you went and got like your, you went to, after high school, you went on for continuing education and shit, like, or whatever. It's like, that's the way to talk about it. You know what I mean? It's like look at what they might perceive as their non, street stuff and rip them on that, which in a way is sort of like what their strength is that they're unique, in this way from that world that is awesome in its own way too. But Hyro was different and unique, and that's what made them different and unique, was that they didn't always talk about that, But right. I mean, and when they did, it was in a clever,
they had their own way of
interesting
talking about
way. Exactly.
Angle. Well,
which is interesting though too, because Saphir, I wanted to say this too, Saphir at this point, Boxcar Sessions was, I mean, there's some stuff on there that's definitely gangster, some super misogynistic songs, but it's super creative and super poetic, right?
Yeah.
And super like amazing. But then in his next album, where he's like Mr. No-No, he
Right.
comes out and he says, one of his first lines on Mr. No-No is like, I'm done with all that like bench shit or something, or I'm done with all that like art rap or
Right.
something along those lines. It's like, now I'm going to show you that I'm just gangster. He's like, yeah, I'm going to move further away from that world. You couldn't get it. He's like, you guys didn't get my like bent flows, my messed up flows or whatever. Now I'm going to do this. And he still is doing weird shit, but it is a lot more of like a straight up, like, every song is like letting this is about money, by the way,
there are a lot of those traces of the super creative flows, that go through, well, the whole Good Life, but also Hyro and Hobos, in the like the most gangster of the gangsterest gangster rappers, except for like idiots like Snoop. But like even Snoop had the occasional flow, but like there are like straight up like just nursery rhyme rap, Eazy-E.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for sure.
But even like gangster rappers who I'm not interested in, who like were always like the opposite of the type of hip hop I wanted to listen to for stylistic and content reasons, there'd be like flows they would get into that were stylistically gorgeous. They were very much, and they weren't like a really interesting thing for me about Saphir in that context is that his pretty flows were ugly. There was something so awkward and like brutish about even his most nimble flows. That was like so, all throughout the Hobo Junction, right? What's the album called? Sessions, Boxcar Sessions.
Boxcar Sessions.
Yeah, all throughout that he's like on some other shit. It was okay. Mr. No-No is his you saying that's his second album, or that's a few years later?
It's a few years later, and I believe that's the
came
second album. What's
Smart
that?
Bomb came out a little bit after that, and it's like the B-side of another like smooth gangster song. And then Smart Bomb is like all these Atari samples, and he just like lists on Burger Time. Just lists all different video games.
Yeah. And then he started doing stuff with Rascast, and I think Mr. No came out like before or sort of same time as the Rascast stuff.
Well,
I'm not entirely sure.
Fear and Rascast and Exhibit had the group Golden
Mhm.
State Warriors, which like
Right.
the posse cuts those guys did together are some of my favorite songs of my life. And like to this day,
Yeah.
the Street Fighter movie soundtrack is elevated above all soundtracks of the 90s by Come With It with Saphir Rascast and Ahmad. Just like a perfect underground rap moment on the Street Fighter movie soundtrack. Last
Crazy,
movie Raul Julia ever made. Like, yeah, Hammer, maybe you got on the Addams Family too, but we all can rap with Raul Julia.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too. Like Vanilla Ice got on the Ninja Turtles, and it's like it's funny because I was looking at it last night based on something that you guys may see in the future related to a song we're making. But it's super funny that like he did that, and it's super lame and whatever. And then it's like this is their version. Like we're gonna do like a dope song. We're not doing something weak. We're coming out. We're coming correct on this and making a classic. To be honest, like
it is a classic. Yeah. And man, on the first Exhibit album, Plastic Surgery, that's Saphir at his awkwardest, and it's so good.
Word, I gotta go back and listen to that. Actually, because I definitely had the first Exhibit album for sure.
Yeah, Speed of Life.
Yeah.
It's so weird the path that Exhibit took, because man, talking about like this period of West Coast hip hop, like he's down with the Alcoholics crew, which they're pretty straightforward party rappers, but with like deep crates and great DJs in the and like as far as like bumping beats, their records they're just amazing to put on super loud. Like there's nothing feels as good as like there ain't no party like Alcoholics Party, as they say.
Right.
And like Exhibit's down with that crew, but he's also like close friends with AWOL1 of the Shapeshifters, and like him and AWOL1 are like homeless and sleeping in vans together and stuff, and like then he gets signed, and he makes a record that's like it's like pretty straightforward street rap for like dead center of the 90s. Like it's sample based, but it's getting a bit like cleaner. It's not so like Muggs has beats on it, but they're a little bit more straightforward and like clean. But then there's just one song with the ill upright bass loop and Rascast and Saphir on it, Plastic Surgery, and it's a whole concept. Like I love when rappers get together, like, okay, what's our song going to be about? And much in the same way you once said, I don't know if you all feel this, but this kind of makes me want to write about like writing from the perspective of a chicken who knows what it means to be a man. Like they were like, okay, so we're talking about MCs who have to go to the plastic surgeon to get their face surgery to look like us because they want our styles.
Right. Yeah. And that's almost Keith-ish. You know what I mean? Like, that's
again,
like
that's also in their orbit, right? Like,
right. Yeah, definitely.
But from there, Exhibit like goes like he gets down with Dre and Aftermath or whatever, and has these big hit records that do nothing for me. And
I didn't pay attention to any of that.
God
stuff.
love him, like he doesn't have to impress me to have a good time, but like, he went from just holding my attention really tightly to being in a dimension that I couldn't follow, but like, and then on TV, and he's a TV personality through like his popular rap, and he's chopping up people's cars and putting plasma screens in them. But just like a member of the Alcoholics crew who used to sleep in cars with AWOL1.
Yeah. I heard a recent. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
He's just kind of like us.
Yeah, exactly. But you make a few right turns, the next minute you're pimping people's rides. I don't know. Yeah, like I remember buying his first cassette tape on a school trip. You know what I mean? Like and being like, yeah, this is super dope. And and loving it. But it's just that's just inevitably what happens. I mean, someone's trying to make it, they're trying to do it. But I also heard a recent story where he he got dissed at some like West Coast like symposium or whatever, where I think it was like I don't know, I forget, it was like maybe one of the Dog Pound guys or someone was like, "You're not even from the West Coast. You're from like Virginia, first of all, or wherever he's from or whatever." And it's like this big deal. And he's like, "Yeah, but I've been in the West, like making it here since I was basically 14 and all this, it's just this kind of back and forth nonsense." But it is interesting to see, like, he's trying to make a living, because he was living in vans, you know what I mean? He's like trying to make as much money and climb those ladders, Um, can I bring? I just want to backtrack a little bit to Boxcar Sessions and say one of the most interesting things about that album is the production. And like the beats on that are wild. And I remember first getting it and being like, I was 17 when I first got the album, maybe 16. And I remember I was spending a lot of time in the train yards too. And there's like a couple of the beats, definitely one of them where it's like it's the sound of a train crossing like the track, kind of like that. And it's like this amazing, like, I don't know, the rhythm is incredible. And it's like, and you can hear like a train in the beat. It's like, "Rah, rah," and but the producer, I guess, was called Jay-Z. Right. And he's always like, Jay-Z is crazy and all this kind of stuff like that. But at the time, like, I knew about the other the other guy, Jay-Z, may have had a career after, I don't even know. But and then that guy just kind of disappears and I don't know where he is. And I think he references him once on Mr. No-No, but like, he talks about him a lot on that album. And it was interesting. Those beats were like, I remember listening to it at first and being like, I didn't have, like, sure, I knew like about noise music a little bit and different things, but I had no reference within hip hop for this. Like the beats seemed like chunky and crazy and weird in this bizarre way that it took me a couple listens to be like, ooh, now I'm hooked. I'm hooked.
It's definitely that type of like East Coast jazzy boom bap production that would make me like a West Coast rapper. Like
definitely,
and
definitely.
It's got that in common with Hieroglyphics. In that, they're sampling jazz records, but I do think that like the way you're describing the beat, I actually had no idea who made the beats. Nice to learn that it was Mr. Carter. But like they're like noisier and like more lo-fi and like more choppy. Whereas
definitely.
like on like the Souls of Mischief album and Casuals album, like the jazz loops are pretty smooth. Like they feel like, they're probably pretty close to the groove they originally played in, whether like sped up or slowed down or like with chunkier drums on them. But like Light Sleeper is like getting punched in the face by a feather pillow. Like it's and it proceeds to, like, lo-fi was a thing that entered hip hop so often out of necessity at the time. Like people just didn't have good gear. Like they were doing stuff on tape decks, but like that, and so for that reason, for whatever, like if it was an aesthetic choice or a limitation, like that Boxcar record like sits next to like some of the really challenging records at the time, like some of the most challenging rappers and producers of the early to mid.
Right. And like another thing, so it's funny because it's not fun. The timing is interesting because I've been recently going back and listening to recent episodes where people are talking about what was important about MF Doom and talking about not just him, but the production and the people he chose to work with. And like, that style of Jay Dilla and, Mad Lib and this kind of thing where, often because of the sampler too, and the way that the sample was taken and just in the immediacy and also the understanding of like jazz and allowing tempos to be shifted and enjoying that and the art of like, wow, this is something that just kind of happened. I'm going to leave it like this or make it like this on purpose, whichever, some cases people will just be like, that's just how it is. And I left it and it worked. And some people are like, but like, and even talking about, his Doom's flow, like, after his brother passing, and it being this more like off kilter thing and stuff. And I'm like, Saphir was on that. Saphir was on that, whether he knew what he was doing or not. And it's bizarre. And I wonder how much the battle and the stuff with Hyro made him separate from, made him be like, okay, I'm no longer being this guy who did do some weird stuff, and I'm going to try and do more straight ahead. If you listen to his albums after, he's trying to be so straight ahead, like, and be gangster and tough guy and this kind of stuff. And I don't connect with it whatsoever. Like Mr. No I quite like, but the other ones I've had a hard time, and I'm hoping maybe one day I can go back and listen to them.
I borrowed Mr. No from you like early in our friendship, and I didn't like it at all. But there was like later stuff that I think in like 2004, 2005, had an album that was called One of the Hardest. It was right after a near-death experience, right after he was on a plane that crashed. Yeah. And I didn't like the whole record, but there were like 3 or 4 songs that like were my jam that. Like, money talks, money don't listen. I guess like he still like went a little bit more straightforward topically, but he had these great like stop-start flows going. That's so brave. Like like off-kilter flows they take my breath away. And it goes back. Like I know we've got Bergie and Lash in the building, and like, Master Ace on Slaughterhouse. I don't know if it's just because he drew attention to it by saying I got the offbeat, on-beat style, or like that made me like click and pay attention to it, but like that's like that was a moment that was like pivotal for me, like learning what was exciting about like building tension within a line. And actually just today there's a Facebook group that I'm part of, Everybody's Hip Hop Label, I think it's called, and it's like these older head boom bap guys who are like really excited about current and classic music. It's like very positive. And like the guy who runs it held up a copy of Straight Up Suicide, the second Das FX record, and he was asking people like what they thought of it. And the first person who commented went straight for like, well, they moved away from the Iggity, so it's like more straightforward. And it's true that they downplayed it a little, but it made me reflect on like what is notable about Das FX in those early days. What like, and the whole Iggity thing, I think gets way more emphasis than it deserves in terms of what made them unique or special. Because it's probably the most unlike what anybody else was doing, so it stands out because it's like weird. Like, why would you do that? But everything else about their flow is also like really meticulous. Like, and they leave space in such interesting places. And to write and work in all these iggities, you're technically leaving space, and then you fill it back in again later. But like the economy of words to do that and then not, rap like LP falling down the stairs, like you gotta be really judicious with your timing, but they're still cramming in like all this pop culture and and it's like, in Dead Serious is such a wild name because they have this gravity somehow while saying like nursery rhymes and movie quotes and cartoon references. They sound like oh, I'm gonna come over there, you better watch out. And just like dialing down the Iggity didn't take away this awkwardness that made them so special. Awkwardness is so good in rap.
For sure, man. It's funny. I was what else I also watched last night was the freestyle or This Is the Life documentary where they talk about we didn't allow any iggities or wiggities on stage, and it's like I was thinking about it. And I was like, and they referenced Dawes Effects, and I was like, there's no way they're dissing Dawes Effects for that. They're dissing what came after, right? And it's like everybody else doing this, and now I'm kind of thinking about. It's funny because Casual, what's up with this mic check? What's up with this flex? What's up with these
motherfuckers biting Dawes Effects?
Exactly. So I was thinking about that because it's like, I don't think that they're talking shit necessarily about the Dawes Effects, the wiggities and diggities. That wasn't as whack. It was other people, it becoming like a easy go-to for others. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure. And right after Das Effects, there was things like Travis Knight, the son of the Nike executive who had the Bomb Squad produced album, and he had like biggities all over his record.
Well, Crisscross and
okay, we're not gonna come in here and diss Crisscross, are we? Because I thought you and I were friends.
Yeah. No, that
don't compare them to
funny.
Another bad little fad. All right.
What's that? Say it again.
Don't compare us to another bad little fad. I'm the Mac and I'm bad. Give you something that you never had. I'll make your blood pump, wiggle the shake your rump, cause I'll be kicking the flavor that make you wanna jump. How high, real high, cause I'm just a fly, a young, lovable, huggable type of guy. And everything to the back with a little slack, cause inside out is wiggity, 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 whack.
Nice. Wow.
That was awesome. Actually a freestyle flow. That was just straight off the dome.
That was just a freestyle. Oh, hey. Speaking of which, I do want to say I made a mistake before, and it was the Wake Up Show mixtape. It was not a Bobito thing. That was a stupid thing. That was a mistake. Crossed some streams there. That I had originally heard the Saphir battle on, the Saphir Hyro battle. Sorry about that.
America's a big place, you know? There were a lot of magical shows. I always forget that Sway and Tech were like rappers before they had a show. I don't think I've ever heard any of their songs. But
nah, there was something that they referenced. I was like, oh, I think I know that one. It was on something they talked about. But hey, here's a weird Hyro story.
Okay.
And also we should cut this off soon because I gotta go do some real life here. But Fritz the Cat had brought all of Hyro to London, and
that's
minus
Ontario for those of you at home.
London, Ontario, exactly. Yeah. And minus what do they call it? Extra Prolific though, which I liked that album though. But I heard there was issues there. But anyways, but it was funny because two things. One, there was people in the crowd taunting Casual, being like, "What's up with Saphir? What's up with Saphir?" Like I'm like, dude, fuck, man, that's gotta suck.
Like what year? Like what year is this?
This is like 97, 98. It was like early, but people knew about it. I don't know what year that battle was. Did they mention that?
Opio's hair was cut, but I think it was like
right.
I think it was still pretty early. I think it was like 94.
Yeah, like I think it was maybe sometime around the second album of Souls, maybe something like that. But anyway, so people were in the crowd saying that, and then Hyro was doing their thing where it definitely wasn't 99. It maybe 98, 97. I forget exactly, but they were doing the Hyro Emporium stuff at that point. So they were selling all their own tapes and that, and they had all these underground tapes. And I was there with Self Help, and we were both like, "Do you guys know Latyrix?" And I forget who it was. It was one of the Souls, and they're like, those guys, they're just a bunch of weirdos we went to high school with. They're not really that good. Yeah. I mean,
knows how
Derek
to describe the same way.
Yeah, Derek.
That. And then they were on Bomb on Y'all on the Quantum MCs album.
Well, of course. It's like that was sort of like Latyrix was out, but like kind of new-ish. You know what I mean? And like they were probably like, that's some weird shit. It'll go nowhere, or something. Who the hell knows? And then it's like, oh, these guys are amazing and they're crushing it, and like let's work with them. It's like it's not the first time I haven't like experienced something even similar firsthand. Like that kind of thing.
Somebody asked Toolshed, what do you think of Thesis Sahib when they came to? Well, they never left the city before they met you.
But you know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying. There's like other people who have said some unfavorable things about Backburner to later on, like later on them like try and work with some close homies and us, as an extension.
Yeah, and I think you should do the song.
Yeah, shit. Yeah.
Oh,
things may happen. We'll see.
Eyes may shine, teeth may grit, and all that. Oh yeah. Okay, so London, Hyro's there, talking mess about Latyrix. That's amazing. So it's probably like 97. I wish
97. Yeah.
I never saw anybody good back then. I mean, I saw incredible local artists, but nobody was coming to Halifax.
Right. Halifax was just that little bit out of the way, and it kind of sucked like that, you know. I mean, London was lucky because we have Detroit and Toronto. We're right in the middle of Detroit and Toronto. It works for a lot of people. We had like a lot of people come through. Like, you know, we had Radiohead played at the same place that, you know, same small bar called The Office that Hyro played at, and AC Alone played like just down the street, you know.
Well,
A
The
lot of that
Office
was
is also famous worldwide for being one of the places where Shad opened for Backburner.
Yeah, exactly.
long
Back
there.
in the day. Yeah. You know, I've played with lots of crazy acts there too. So, but you know, we also have Fritz the Cat to thank a lot for that, you know. Shout outs to him for bringing some of those early shows, and the people at Soul Choice that I mentioned before, they brought a lot of great shows through too, like in collaboration with Fritz. So, yeah, just a little bit of that cool LO history.
Rap is so
Yeah.
good. You know what? Like even like a 30-minute documentary on what was in many ways not the best showing from any of those MCs. Like, makes me so happy about rap.
I appreciate the honesty though in it. Like, it's cool that right now they're able to be like, Saphir was like, I was worried that some shit was going to go down like after, because he's like, you know, it was this small little contained thing, and all of a sudden the whole city knows. And, you know, in Casual, like they were all being very honest in a lot of ways, you know,
They
and
were
like
being
Saphir
honest
being like,
about like not killing it also. Like they were giving each other more props than they were giving themselves too. Like Casual goes like, that was a whack battle. Our adrenaline was up. We didn't say anything. The Sphere was like, ooh. He was like excited by like how aggressive Opio was. Like,
right, yeah. Well, I
little
appreciate who put this piece together. We should put their name
yeah, it's on the
in
file.
because that's a cool perspective, because like that's the thing is like the audio we heard before this was kind of okay in different bits like we were saying, but like this, what I love about this piece is it's so cool in putting us in the moment more and giving us these backstories and little side bits that like I love Casual's story about why Saphir was mad, because I was always like, well, why didn't Casual get on the album? And Casual's probably like, I'm a little lazy right now, I'm kind of blowing up a bit, and I'm kind of big, and I should support this thing, you know, but kind of just didn't. And I mean, how many times have we had that kind of thing happen, you know, being on both sides of that fence, you know, where, you know, not that we're blowing up massively or whatever, but
Oh,
you know,
we've
we're
had our
busy.
moments.
Yeah.
Shamari
Smith, right?
Shamari Smith, that was the filmmaker. Yeah. Yo,
beautiful piece. Thank you.
And I
Smith.
got it from Casual's YouTube channel. That's kind of cool that he's putting it out there also. I still believe to this day that Saphir, I will say this anytime his name comes up, should have had the career of Tupac Shakur.
Word.
Saphir and Tupac were both being mentored by Shock G at the same time. Both, you know, interning at Digital Underground pretty much, and both getting served beats that Shock G was making. And like one of them would pass and the other one would get the beat. I know that I had read in a Shock G interview that Tupac I Get Around was originally, you know, handed to Saphir. And quite rightly, I think, Saphir was like, this doesn't work for me because it doesn't sound like what he wound up doing. But I just, whatever like little butterfly wings should have flapped so that like Saphir got the heat from a Shock G single and it was just quirky enough to like still get on a movie soundtrack or something. And that, I just wish that Saphir had launched, that his verses, that his writing had been influential on people the way Tupac's was, because I don't think Tupac was that good of a writer.
Yeah, I mean,
I
mean, there's other stuff I've been blown away with more, and Saphir is one of those things, you know, for sure. Saphir's one of my favorite rappers. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, what he's done is some of my favorite and most influential stuff on me personally.
Literally, not only one of my favorite rappers, but he's literally favorite rapper. Like,
sure thing.
And that's how before I paid much attention to him, I saw his influence on people I already admired by the time I because I didn't hear Hobo Junction when it first. I think Light Sleeper might have been on the video show or something, but I heard him on Casual's album and I was like, that's interesting, but it wasn't until it was reflected back to me in other underground rappers when I was ready to hear it that I was like, this guy is changing.
Yeah. Definitely, brother, for sure. And that would be a cool slice of history to see, to be examining more of that intersection between Shock G, Pac, and Saphir. And I have seen a little bit of stuff. Grips just joined the conversation here, but I remember, Grips. Do you know even too? I believe there was a piece where I recall Saphir saying something about his relationship with Pac and Saphir being mentioned in one kind of a Pac documentary. Documentary, exactly. Yeah. Anyways, that's what's Bergie saying?
The Saphir missed the opportunity in that Casual beef to release a track called Saphir itself. Thank God Bergie's out there bringing the hot heat.
Bringing it.
The warm toasties.
Yeah. Anyways, homie, I gotta run. This has been great. Yeah, thanks to Shamari Smith, for making such a beautiful piece. Thank you, all my homies at Back Burner.
Thank you, Jesse, for Shamari Smith, for making a piece that was non-fungible so that we could play it on our show. Thanks to Business Baby, Little Joe Berries, for teaching us about crypto.
Check out her podcast.
Yep. Check out your own podcast too, asshole. That's just for the people. All of you out there, why don't you check out your own podcast?
Word. Backburner, Animal Street.
Astral Island. Yo, so Friday night, we got any guests on Joey's show on Friday?
I don't know what's up this Friday. Anybody know what's going on Friday?
Werbergler says he's going to go watch Xenogear speedruns.
Peace.
I love it.
Thanks, Grips. Peace, homie. Stay tuned. Grips has got another hot cakes coming out real soon. It's going to be...
Is it this weekend or next?
No, I think it's next weekend.
Grips, when's your... Joel, can you look up, please, in the schedule when the next hotcakes is with Grips? Is it Grips or Gripski? Is Gripski just a cute nickname on Grips?
Gripski.
Or is Gripski his full name?
It's first name's Grip, last name's Ski. Gripski.
28th. Oh, very end. It's non-leap year, so that's the end of Nevuary. 28th.
Yeah. Word.
11:30 a.m. EST. That's 1 p.m. in Newfoundland. Fritz, you out there? Thank you so much for being here. Oh, Matt Maxwell, thanks for stopping in. All of you, thanks so much for being in here, and thanks for loving hip hop with us, and for exploring the world of non-fungible tokens, which is going to destroy the concept of ownership and personhood in a matter of days.
Yeah, but you know what the problem is? Selling sheet music. That's going to ruin everything.
Yo, did I tell you I bought one of Shane Hall's singles just as sheet music?
Yeah.
He put it out as a PDF. That non-fungible motherfucker. That mother awesome. Fungible.
That mother fungible. Print it out on paper, hang it on your wall.
I will. Fuck you. All right. Love you, buddy.
You love you, homie. Gam, what's up? Thanks. Thanks for everybody on Enter Astral Island. Love you, homie. Talk to you soon.